Good evening and welcome into another edition of the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast, live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and Instagram account. This is where we stop down every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time, to talk about the great 8-man game of high school football in the state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Maney, and before I introduce you to our panel for tonight, I want to let you know that the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast is presented by Ideal, Idaho's college savings program. idsaves.org is the website. And once again, IdahoSports.com is partnering with Ideal to give $529 towards a 529 account for one lucky student at a Class 2A or 1A high school in the great state of Idaho. We'll have more details about that contest coming up in a little bit. But without further ado, let's meet our Idaho 8-man experts. Former head coach of the Cary High Panthers, now coaching the middle school team at Cary. I don't know if it's called Cary Middle School. I guess we'll find out. It's Coach Lane Kirkland. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, just great to be here tonight. It's the Panther Cubs. Maybe we'll call them the Panther Cubs. But a game today against the Trojans here at home, a victory by 8. So it's been a wonderful day so far.
Raft River Trojans, I'm guessing.
Wendell Trojans.
Oh, Wendell Trojans. Okay.
Wendell played a little 8-man junior high football and brought 22 kids. It was a war.
Okay. Wendell's varsity played 8-man last week against Grace. So we will talk about that more on the show coming up. Where are you broadcasting from tonight in your casa?
Oh, we're just in the living room portion down here in the basement, just across from the Coliseum. So.
Okay, I like it. A nice painting behind you as well. There,
got a high mountain lake up there. You bet.
Yeah, you painted that, right?
I did.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's the guy that paints beautiful pictures with his words, both written and spoken. It is the owner operator of Idaho 8-Man X and Idaho 8-Man Instagram accounts, Will Henneke. What's going on?
I want to know if there's going to be an end of season barbecue at your house, Coach, because I gotta see this pad. You've already broadcast from more vantage points than I have in my entire house, and we're 4 weeks into the season.
There's still a few places left to go here, but the barbecue thing, it could happen. Yeah, it could happen. But Brandon, that's a long way. Maybe when you're down here for the playoffs in Pokey, just drop on in.
Okay, that sounds good. You know, one of these years, Kendrick's not going to be able to host inside the Kibbe Dome, so I may have to go. So that's where I've been the last couple of years, just following Kendrick in their run of dominance here in North Idaho. It's been a lot of fun in the playoffs. So let's get to it, guys. Speaking of the White Pine League, that's where we're starting. We always start the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast with our game of the week. This was, what is the most exciting game from the week that was. Usually helps if it's a game with high stakes as well. And I'd say most weeks in the White Pine, it's going to be high stakes affair. This was an overtime thriller between Potlatch and Clearwater Valley. The Loggers get the 2-point win in OT, 58-56. Essentially, Potlatch down a score late. Jay Marshall, quarterback keeper, runs in the game-tying touchdown. And then in overtime, Marshall scores. Potlatch gets the ball first. Marshall scores on a 10-yard touchdown run. So basically, first play in overtime, he finds the end zone. He gets the 2-point conversion run as well. And so now it's Clearwater Valley's turn. The Rams turn to their own quarterback, Liam Wall. But Wall gets the touchdown, but does not get the 2-point conversion. And so that's how Potlatch wins it, 58-56, the final over Clearwater Valley. Will, both quarterbacks, fantastic in this game. Jay Marshall, 10 of 18 passing, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, but really on the ground, 26 carries for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns. For Clearwater Valley, Liam Wall, 13 of 22, 254 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, 24 carries, 196 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. 8-man football at its finest.
Yeah, Jay Marshall's a kid's, handing 6 more touchdowns this past weekend. People are going to talk about Maddox Kirkland. People are going to talk about Wyatt Mavencamp. They're going to talk about Gavin Draper, all justified. But, if Jay Marshall's not careful, he's going to play himself well into the all-state conversation here. All he does is put up huge numbers and help his team win big games. And the other thing that comes out of this from what I'm seeing, and again, I'm looking at this on videotape and from conversations and through multiple different perspectives, the white pine is like crazy deep this year. You're talking about Clearwater falling to 0-3, Potlatch 3-0. We'll get into some of the other games later. This is a team you could see 5 at least teams out of this league in the 2A playoffs when it's all said and done. And Clearwater Valley head coach Alan Hutchins, young team, went out there and battled their hearts out, and they gave a good Potlatch team everything they could handle a week after they gave a good Glens Ferry team everything that they could handle. Some good things are coming in Kuski. That Rams team's going to be pretty dangerous in a year or two.
Yeah, had some injury problems, lost a lot of talented players to graduation the past couple of years. Okay, so outside of the 2 quarterbacks, one other standout from each side for Clearwater Valley, Alex Paradise. Yeah, it was Paradise. 12 catches, 193 yards, and all 3 touchdowns from Wall. And then for Potlatch, and Coach Ryan Ball said this to the Lewiston Tribune. He said, what really swung, because Potlatch was behind the 8 ball, for a lot of this game. What really swung it was Brody McGreel had a 60-yard kickoff return for a touchdown in the 3rd quarter. And that kind of got the Loggers, their feet back under them. And then they kind of, hit the gas from there. So 2 guys additionally to keep an eye on. But Coach, like it so often does in 8-man football, came down to that 2-point conversion.
So critical. Yeah, so critical. And from what Coach Hutchins said, it was in and out of his receiver's hands. But you want a game to come down to some of those last plays to get that experience. But heartbreak loss there for the Rams. But that kickoff also caught my attention. We've seen a lot of those this year in some of the closest games. And if it's to stay in the game and keep it tied or to close it out by a score. So those special teams, once again, playing a huge part on that massive Idaho field. So, yeah, and the conversion, of course, they're hard to call, man. They're so hard to call, and you hope that it goes your way.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Brody McGreel's 60-yard kickoff return for a touchdown won't be the last kick return touchdown we'll talk about on tonight's show, so stay tuned for that. Right now, though, it is time for our Coach's Corner segment, where every week Coach Kirkland goes one-on-one with one of the great 8-man coaches in the state of Idaho. This allows us to peel back the curtain a little bit, get to know these leaders more as, men and not just a coach, their personality, what makes them tick, all sorts of great things. And this week, appropriately enough, a team that was on the losing end of our game of the week by just 2 points, but a great human being, somebody I've had a lot of personal interaction with, the athletic director and head football coach at Clearwater Valley. This week's Coach's Corner is with Alan Hutchins up in Kuski, Coach.
Yeah, this was a great opportunity for me to be able to get to know Coach Hutchins. I don't think I've ever met him before or visited with him. So this is a lot of fun to be able to feel his enthusiasm and his program and what's going on up there in Kuski. I got to learn some of the geography of that area as well. So we'll give it a shot here tonight. Head coach Alan Hutchins will be the man of our hour in our spotlight tonight. He was born in Lewiston and raised in Stites, also known as Luke's Gulch. I don't know if that's up the canyon or where that's at, but it must be close by. Also in Kuski and the Harpsters area, that is known as the Clearwater Valley. So football was Coach Hutchins' absolute life growing up. He lived it. He played it year-round. He was a 3-sport athlete and a great one at Clearwater Valley back in the day, graduating in 95. And he says the lessons and values he's learned from football continue to guide him today. And I love that picture that he's taken there because it's got enthusiasm in his face. And, man, this guy loves to talk football. He loves to talk about his Rams and his community. Who were some of his mentors back in the day? Well, I love these old photos, vintage photos from Coach. He's number 7 in the picture there from his high school days. And I showed this to some of my athletes in Cary today, and they're like, that dude's huge. He was a big man there, number 7. And there's his coach helping him out. He was an athlete of the week in basketball in 94. He couldn't find his athlete of the week in football, but there he is posted. But each of these individuals, Marty particularly, became one of the assistant coaches and eventually the head coach, and later went on to play at Yale University. setting an example for him. Now, in this photo, Coach Hutchins talks about being the CIL champions in '94. So, pop quiz, Will, what does CIL stand for back in the day?
Central Idaho League.
Oh, man, you are on it. Were you in it?
No, but I've had a conversation with Coach Hutchins about playing in a state playoff game for Clearwater Valley. They played Homedale, I believe.
There you are. Yeah, and that was a very competitive league. It was 11-man back in the day. And back in 2003, the Rams began to play 8-man football and never looked back. But Coach is a Clearwater Valley Ram through and through, as we'll talk more about his journey tonight. Where did his journey begin? Well, his first coaching job was at Derry High School in 2018 under Ryan Kirk, hired by the athletic director, Dare Agers, and the former head football coach, legend at Derry, winning a lot of state championships. He was there, 6 years in a row in the 90s. But Coach says, I learned that nothing is guaranteed. You have to come willing to put in the work every day in order to put yourself in a position to succeed, to evolve and adapt to your players' strengths and weaknesses, and then work on your weaknesses in the end. So great vintage coaches to work under there for sure. What's his philosophy here at Clearwater Valley? Number one, and he emphasized this on the phone the other night, competitive. He says, we just want to be competitive. And we want to be in these games. We're younger, we're smaller. We want to be competitive, and that's as close as you can get going to an overtime. He's very encouraging with his athletes, also inspiring, and wants them to grow up and do the little things to become accountable and to be a family together. Well, you can really tell of his love for his athletes, and what a great shot there at Middleton High School in August when it was 200 degrees. So him coaching those guys up. What makes Clearwater Valley a special place? Well, once again, it's in northern Idaho. That place is in the middle of the mountains and beautiful scenery and trees all around. I've included a road map there for some of you down south that haven't traveled much up there, including myself. I usually stay on the main highway and take a left, I think, at Grangeville. But Kuski, Stites, Harpster, Elk City, and Clearwater, the town of Clearwater, all make up the Clearwater Valley. And the school is between Kuski and Stites, apparently about 1.5 miles in between each of those. A good run for the team to run from their house in Kuski or Stites to the practice field. But there's a lot going on in that town. I'll tell you what. The next slide there. These guys have some pretty cool parties apparently in July. Kuski days and Stites days, like a lot of our small towns do. You got some parade photos there on the left from the events that take place there. And by the way, Coach Hutchins' teams are in those parades and they throw candy. Got some cornhole going on, a tractor pull, a ping pong ball drop for the kids out of an airplane promptly at 8:30. Carnival rides, and of course the Bobby Boucher lawnmower races that just started 2 or 3 years ago. So his players are a huge part of that and give back, participating with the float in the parade and getting it done for each of their communities. What's Coach's emphasis this season? There it is again. Be competitive, play with sportsmanship, and handle adversity. I'm telling you, overtime is adversity. Become better individuals every day in every aspect of life. What a cool photo of those guys with those big logs in the background there. And Lander, Melwing, and Moses, they're seniors this season. He's excited for those guys. He wants them to be successful in everything that they do. They're undersized, but he expects them to play with determination and with speed. Well, what's going on out here in the Clearwater Valley vision? We got to be concise, culture-driven. Things have got to be clear. We got to coach them up clean. And he wants his boys, every one of them, to be successful in everything that they do. And I'm telling you, in a conversation with Coach Hutchins, he really means all of that. He really loves these boys in his program, and he's a full-blooded Ram. And it was fun to listen to him and his enthusiasm there. So when you meet Coach Hutchins, you'll see it in person for sure. What's going on outside of his football life? Well, Coach Hutchins has been in love now for several years, and he is engaged to his fiancée, Sophia. And I couldn't find a ring there, but it was appropriate. So I just put a ring with a ram on the front of it, appropriate for tonight's presentation, I think. Coach does a little shed hunting in the off season and likes to get out and hunt and fish as well. He's also the athletic director, and that's a cool shot of their field. And I just named that Coach Hutchins because the head coach gets his own mountain in Kuski, right? So I think it looks good back there. He is a admirer and a grateful coach to Coach Hasselstrom, who has mentored him quite a bit, and he's gone to him, has a lot of resources. And he also wanted to give a shout out to Coach Schilling and Coach Hillier, his assistant coach, as this season, really working good together as a team. Well, to finish up tonight here's some of the quick hitters for Coach Hutchins. He loves to run the Pro 55 tight end seam. I can see that going to Gronkowski or your tight end, Coach, right over the center there for 6 points. And maybe that was a pass play he called, that extra point that got dropped. I'm not sure. He's got some memorable players that he coached. Louis Fabi, Dylan Pickering. We've heard those names. Tiago Pickering, AC Anthony Carter, Isaac Goodwin, Bass Myers, Carson Schilling, Jake Fabi. Some of those familiar names that come from that particular area. One thing you didn't know about Coach Hutchins is he was once upon a time a small boy at 5 pounds, being born 2 months early. I think he wanted to get his football career going. So he said, I'm out of here. And why not? And he's grown to be a lot larger than that, of course, by now. Probably because his favorite game post meal and pregame meal is at the Silver Dollar Greasy Burger in Stites. It's got to be. We all love those burger places as coaches.
How have we not gotten an invite to this place, Coach?
I didn't know it was big enough to have a restaurant, but hey, you got to eat somewhere there. And so maybe we'll meet up there. Brandon, we'll meet.
Barbecue at your house, and then Coach Hutchins can take us to the Silver Dollar.
Yeah.
Not in the same day, though. That'd be a long day.
That's a long day. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have to make a stop in Boise. Well, his advice to an 8-man coach would be consistent, stay at it, believe in your philosophy, and reach out to other coaches as a helpful resource, and that will help you be successful. So, Coach Hutchins, I appreciate and thank you for joining us tonight, and enjoy your passion. And good luck this season. I know that you'll be competitive, and you're going to get those wins down the road.
Yeah, that was great. Alan Hutchins, again, like I said, somebody that I've interacted with a lot. In my day-to-day job at IdahoSports.com, I'm talking to ADs all the time. Alan is the best. He sends an email out to the Clearwater Valley community and media pretty much every day. Like, hey, here's what's going on at the school today. And here's what happened last night. And here, just a totally awesome guy. And then he has been the tournament director the past couple of years for the 2A state baseball tournament, which I end up broadcasting a lot because it seems to be played in North Idaho all the time. And so I get to interact with him there too. And you're right, Coach Kirkland. He is a busy guy. Whenever I'm calling him, it seems like he's in his car driving somewhere. So
well, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're always driving on a half a tank.
That's right. Paul Kingsbury, our boss, in the chat tonight. Next road trip, Silver Dollar in Stites. Then he says, Hutch is my hero. Well, I know Hutch, he gave you a Clearwater Valley hat 2 or 3 years ago. You did a game. They came down and noticed and played, right?
Yes, he did. And there are people, when I wear it around here, they think it's some sort of an alternate Los Angeles / Arizona / St. Louis, whatever, Rams hat. And I'm like, nope, Clearwater Valley up in North Idaho. I wouldn't wear no stupid Rams, just Clearwater Valley.
That's right. I've been to Kuski once to cover a game. It was last year. Notice came up to Clearwater Valley for the season opener. I broadcasted that on IdahoSports.com. And then I take that highway quite a bit because you can kind of go into Montana the back way from that neck of the woods. And so that's a route I drive a lot. When the weather's nice, of course, you got to go up a big pass. So it's beautiful country over there. You drive right along the Lochsaw River. It's pretty majestic scenery up there in Kuski for sure. So, all right. Well, we mentioned it. Coach Hutchins may be a great guy, but his Rams looking at an 0-2 mark to the season and 0-1 in the White Pine League because it is such a difficult, rigorous league. And we talked about that gauntlet of games they have coming up now. They've got Kendrick, Kamiah, Prairie, and Grace. all in a row. So that is
brutal.
So let's see how some of their White Pine League counterparts did this past week. Let's go to, this was going to be the other game that I considered for our game of the week. I didn't want to feature Kamiah 2 weeks in a row in the spot, but second week in a row, they pull one out of the fire over Logos. This was a game that was broadcast on IdahoSports.com. Kamiah defeats Logos by 22-20. Lawson Landmark, great quarterback for Kamiah, taking over for Dave Clute, was the wide receiver the past couple of years, missed all of last season with an injury. He's back. He scored the game-winning touchdown with about a minute to go. He threw for 198 yards and a touchdown, also ran the ball 11 times for 96 yards and a score. And this was really interesting to see, Will, because we're used to Kamiah kind of pounding the rock and doing QB run and those types of things. But really, outside of Landmark, they didn't have much going. Everett Oatman had 4 carries for -4 yards. So they said, okay, we'll throw it to you. 9 catches for 69 yards. I thought that was a great adjustment by Kamiah because that Logos defensive line is so stout.
Oh, their defense just in general, and Coach, you and I watched them firsthand. That defense just in general is phenomenal. Looks like they're still sorting some things out on offense, trying to find that next gear to really take off offensively. But that defense, that's going to keep them in the game against just about anybody.
Yeah, and then on the Logos side of things, Coach, Baxter Covington, 73 yards passing and a touchdown. Honor Mallory had a touchdown run, but they just didn't get enough of those long sustained drives. And I guess we got to tip our hat to the Kamiah defense here as well.
Yeah, a new coach making some adjustments there at Kamiah on the defensive side of the ball to hold a deadly and a loaded with weapons Logos team on offense as well. So, I mean, that's a great battle up in there, and it comes down to those extra points. Was that an extra point, or were they 16 and scored 6 and missed the extra point? I don't know the details on that final, but
ooh, let me look. I'll try to find that for you. While Hayden Eulencott, he was our broadcaster for this game on IdahoSports.com. He said it was a crazy game, lights out defense. I think the IdahoSports.com player of the game was Everett Oatman because of defensively. He had like 15 or 16 tackles. Hayden, could you tell us, was the game tied when Landmark scored that game-winning touchdown? Or was it, they needed the touchdown they were down 4 possibly? How did that work out with the 2-point difference there? And maybe Hayden can tell us in the chat since he was there actually broadcasting it for us. And we can circle back to that in a second. Let's talk about Prairie, though. The Pirates defeat Lapwai in White Pine play 72-14. Levi Gehring, 7 carries for 72 yards and 3 touchdowns, had a 70-yard punt return for a touchdown, Coach. And then Chris Schumacher, 15 tackles, a sack, and 2 fumble recoveries on defense, 34-yard touchdown reception on offense. Prairie's putting the rest of the state on notice. Hey, we've got the horses this year.
They certainly are. And I got to wonder, and I'll have to talk to Coach Hasselstrom about this, is what's it like to sit out for a bit and then to come back and coach? Are you a lot more intelligent, which I think he might be, even though he was great to start with? Do you see things a little bit differently? Are you better and more prepared? And I think the answer to that already is yes. Their Pirates are coming out firing on all cylinders and definitely putting themselves in a position here for us to watch out for. And like you say, there could be 5 spots come out of that White Pine League up there for the bracket with their Max Preps rankings and a couple other big wins that teams have had to get some scores to go up on those rankings. Yeah.
And he is one of several coaches that's doing this. Brian Ayers coached Valley long ago and came back into the arena.
Right.
Bill Hicks coached 11-man football at Burley for a long time, and he kind of had retired, and then he came out of retirement to coach at Hagerman.
Ryan Ball was out for a couple of years before he went back to started coaching football at Potlatch.
Yeah, he was at Kamiah previously, and then Potlatch, and then like Jason Rober, he's on his second stint with Idaho City. He coached him at kind of the late 90s, turn of the millennium, I think, and then kind of came back. So yeah, a lot of coaches, they feel the itch, Coach Kirkland. Are you trying to tell us something through the tea leaves here?
Yeah, me and Tom are coming back, baby. I just think that I think there's another gear left in these guys that they're grabbing with their programs and a new level of enthusiasm, sometimes you get worn out and you need a break perhaps. And when these guys come back, I think they're coming back extra strong and just coaching the world up. So it'd be fun to see how this plays out this year.
Yeah. Here's Hayden in the chat, our broadcaster up in North Idaho. He says, Kamiah was down 20-16 before the game-winning score. So the touchdown gave them the 2-point lead they needed. And he says, Kamiah was trailing 12-8 at the half. And Hayden says Haas is on his third stint. He coached in the late 90s as well. Hayden would know because he lives in Cottonwood. So born and raised there. So, okay, interesting. I'll have to update my records there. I didn't know Hasselstrom coached him in the late 90s as well. So very interesting and a good point, Coach. We'll follow that through line maybe as the season develops. But right now, Kamiah and Prairie and Potlatch are all 1-0 in the White Pine League. They are all undefeated as well. Kamiah and Prairie are 3-0. Potlatch is 2-0. Kendrick is 3-0. They have not played any White Pine games yet. So we'll talk more about that coming up when we look at what games are coming up this weekend. Let's go to the Snake River Conference. This was the other big story from the week that was. Hagerman defeats Valley 78-32. Incredible performance by Hagerman. Pretty much everybody at IdahoSports.com picked Hagerman or picked Valley to win this game over Hagerman. And Coach Kirkland, not only does Hagerman win in convincing fashion, but Wyatt Mavencamp sets what is believed to be a new state record with 10 passing touchdowns. He was 18 of 27, 447 yards, 10 passing touchdowns. He also ran for 152 yards and an 11th score on the ground. I mean, just insane.
I was going to say, I think maybe that is Tom Brady on the field out there, but Tom Brady can't run that far. He would be exhausted. But, I saw those 10 touchdowns, and I know what Coach was thinking. Wyatt's in the groove. Let him just roll. Let him just throw. Let's light this thing up. Let's just set records here tonight, and let's just showcase him. He's got confidence. Just keep feeding him the ball. It's kind of like, scoring 80 points in a basketball game. Just let this guy feed him. And that amount of passes, that amount of yards and rushing, 599. Is that what the math is on that? By himself?
Sounds right.
His receivers is incredible. 25 yards a catch. And when you're feeling it, man, just keep calling it until the defense stops you. And if they don't, welcome to a new state record.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Will, since you and I picked Valley to win over Hagerman, I've got to share this. Wyatt Mavencamp's grandmother is on the sidelines every Hagerman game, shooting videos, taking pictures. She always sends us great pictures every week at IdahoSports.com. If we're there broadcasting, she'll take a picture of us broadcasting as well, which I love. This week, she, of course, sent in the usual batch of photos from this fantastic game, but she sent a little something else too, guys. I'm going to share my screen here. This is what came across my email Saturday morning. A nice recipe for pan-fried crow. How about it?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all eating it.
I love it. I think that's awesome. Like we said, we do the game picks for fun, and when we're wrong, we'll all come back and wear it. But remove the breast meat from as many crows as desired. Beat with a meat mallet. Got to have tender breasts, of course. Dip them in the beaten egg and then in breadcrumbs or flour and fry in oil on a hot skillet. So
with a meat mallet. That's something I wasn't expecting to hear.
I call it a tenderizer, but
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think
Hagerman, thanks. The Kamiah win over Logos was a big statement win. This was an equally big statement win because Valley's a heck of a program. And just 1 week before, Hagerman kind of got manhandled a bit when they went up and played Kendrick. They struggled. Wyatt Mavencamp struggled. They couldn't really get anything going, but they came back down and they put on a heck of a show. And you hear the term thrown around a lot. That's video game numbers. 18 completions for 10 touchdowns. Those are video game numbers. And to be clear here, when we talk about it being potentially a state record for most touchdown passes in a game, we're talking all classifications. We're not talking 8-man. We're talking, Wyatt Mavencamp is up there with players from from Burley and Highland and Coeur d'Alene and some of the biggest and best programs in the state of Idaho. That's how magical that game was. And, oh, by the way, like you said, Brandon ran for 150 yards too. I mean, that's just you don't see, even in an 8-man game where it's perceived to be this offensive explosion, blah, 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 blah. You don't see many performances even in that stratosphere as to what Mavencamp and the Hagerman offense did.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. And Hagerman, I think, was motivated after losing to Valley in the final moments last year in the state quarterfinals. The plot thickens with Wyatt's grandma, guys. Here's Denise Mavencamp in the chat. What's awesome about her is that she is a Valley Viking alumni. Wow, the plot thickens. Cool. That's awesome. Speaking of Valley, Thomas Vargas, 20 carries, 212 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did all he could, caught a touchdown pass as well. Just didn't get enough in the passing game to really match what Hagerman was doing. All the receivers, I mean, were just fantastic. Jace Levitt, 4 catches, 3 touchdowns. Will Mavencamp, 4 catches, 3 touchdowns. Cason Knight, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. Cameron Klaus, 3 catches, 1 touchdown. Xander Senarusa, 2 catches, 1 touchdown. I mean, this is high efficiency passing game numbers here. And then I did want to single out Jonah Knapp on the defensive side as well. 20 tackles and a forced fumble. That might be our first double-digit tackler of the season, Coach.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've hit 16 and 17, but 20 is up there. That's a lot of work down there to hold them as much as they could. And Vargas even got some pretty good yards, 200 yards on the ground, but not quite enough for that explosive air raid that Mavencamp was dealing out.
For sure. Well, other teams in the conference also put on pretty impressive displays. This was a game we had on IdahoSports.com. Raft River and Oakley, the rivalry renewed. And Raft River, kind of takes out some frustration. 74-32, the final. McCoy Spencer was our IdahoSports.com player of the game. 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Raft River, stubbed their toe a little bit out of the gates, but very quietly, they've won 2 in a row and appear to have righted the ship here at 2-1 on the season.
Yeah, and they're really balanced on offense. That's the thing I like about them is it's not just one guy doing everything all the time. It spreads around a little bit, and that's what's going to make them tough to deal with. Okay, you want to hone in on McCoy Spencer? Well, I'll see you and I'll hand you a Ruger Ward. You want to take Ruger Ward out? Well, here's Trace Ward. Okay, you think you got them shut down? How about Ren Udy running down the field and catching some passes? This is a team that has a lot of different ways to beat you. And like you said, they're a little bit under the radar. They're a little bit kind of quiet. But then I think that when we get into November, I expect them to be there, and I expect them to be there like in a noise making capacity, not a I'm just happy to be on the bus way.
Right. So Raft River and Hagerman both 1-0 to start conference play there. Valley and Oakley each 0-1. Glens Ferry and Murtaugh yet to play in conference action, but they were both in non-conference games this past week. Coach, Murtaugh goes to Rockland and hands the 1A Bulldogs a 42-20 setback. Now, Rockland was leading when the fourth quarter started 18-14, kind of like that Giants-Cowboys game on Sunday where it was low scoring and then like 40 points got scored in the fourth quarter. Rockland was up 18-14 at the start of the fourth quarter, but Isaac Held and Woodrow Louder both leave via injury, and Murtaugh takes advantage. This is a team you've seen with your own eyes. They played Cary earlier this year. I think this is a team that's got sleeper potential this year, Murtaugh. Yeah,
that's a good team. That really is a good team. There's a lot of good tools there. They have great size. They've got some speed, and the play calling is going well. That is a great team there. And it shows you how strong Rockland was until those 2 players went down as well, and how competitive they were going to be. And Rockland has to offer. I believe that it was a knee injury and an arm that was broke. I don't know if they're coming back from rumors that I'd heard there, which is too bad. But Murtaugh excited to get this win against Rockland on the road. A tough loss for the Bulldogs, not only the game, but those 2 outstanding players on their team. I'm sure there's still some more left in the tank there, but a fourth quarter going down there and just losing 1 out of 4 quarters is a good showing against a really solid Murtaugh squad.
Yeah, Xavier Parrish, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns for Rockland. Zach Perman, 11 catches, 169 yards, 2 scores for the Bulldogs there. And Rockland is a team that only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players on its varsity roster. So we talk about, Rockland is a good team, but boy, they are walking the tightrope, every game. And so now 11 players in theory. They've got a couple of freshmen. And honestly, when I saw Rockland at the very start of the year, they had a kid already that was hurt, and he was upstairs filming. So they might be down to 10 guys now. Coach Gary Hunter is going to have to shake the hallways loose and see if he can get a couple more of those cross-country guys to play football in addition to running. They already have a couple of guys doing both sports this year. But that's the danger with Rockland is, and we saw it last year, they still were a good team, but any hit to their depth kind of changes the calculus for them a little bit. Will, I wanted to get your thoughts on Glens Ferry and Wilder. This is a game you were at Friday night, 42-0 victory for the Pilots. This is another team that I think, we dismissed them kind of early because, well, I did anyways, because they lost so much to graduation, but Glens Ferry proving, hey, we've got some guys this year.
Yeah, 42-0 at halftime. 58-0 wound up being the final score.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Yes.
No, you're fine. They impressed me. Now they were facing a Wilder team that head coach Josh Duty and his staff, they're building from the ground up there, and they're going to be a team to watch in a year or two, and we can talk more about that later. But since you asked the question about Glens Ferry, I was really impressed because I came into the season, Brandon, feeling much the same way you did. This is a team that took a big hit in senior leadership, but Braden Spriggs steps in at quarterback, does a nice job, a dual threat guy. He can run, he can throw it a bit. Henry Thomas, Dom Guerrero, they've got some kids that can play. And they may not be that one, if you will. They may not be that number one seed. But this is a team that's going to be very, very, very much in the conversation when it comes time for Max Preps to do their, secret formula and classify some playoff teams. But they've got guys that when they find a little bit of a crease, they know what to do with it. And you talked about special teams, opening kickoff. Henry Thomas returns it for a touchdown. And that's just one of those plays that can set the stage. And, he's not a particularly big guy per se, but he's good in the open field and he's not afraid to stick his nose in there and make some tackles. I was really impressed with Coach Stewart and his team. I thought they did a really, really nice job.
Yeah. Henry Thomas.
And Brody Merrill didn't even play. They're number one. Their top running back. He was there. He was serving as the ball boy, but he didn't even play. So there's a whole nother piece of the puzzle that they'll have at their disposal, presumably at some point down the line.
Yeah, he and Thomas are a good 1-2 combo in the backfield. And then Merrill will throw some passes occasionally as well to Spriggs. That's kind of another element they've baked in there. Henry Thomas, you mentioned the kickoff return for a touchdown. 5 carries, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns. So 3 of his 5 carries ended with him in the end zone, and then 17 tackles on defense as well. So Henry Thomas, doing it all there for the Pilots, certainly. Let's talk about the High Desert Conference, District 5-6. Grace, the only team in action. Grace is 4-0 with a 49-8 win over Wendell. We talked about this last week where Wendell has foregone the rest of their varsity football season. They're kind of playing a JV schedule here. Centennial Baptist was supposed to come to Grace. They pulled out. Grace and their athletic director, Travis Draper, who's also the head football coach, very quickly said, Wendell, your season just changed a little bit. Would you like to come play us? And Wendell said, sure. Grace wins 49-8, coach. Gavin Draper, I think a perfect QB rating here. 8 of 8, 144 yards and a touchdown. Also ran in 2 scores and had an interception on defense.
Yeah, the Grizzlies showing some awesomeness once again this week. And Gavin Draper getting it done with that perfect passing. 8 out of 8 is a great it must be great catches. There are lots of things that can happen when you throw that football, but you got to catch it. And 8 receivers getting a hold of that is a good mark there. The hardest adjustment that some teams make when they come down from 11-man to 8 is they got to cover all that field. And they struggle on defense mostly to start with. Offense is offense. You got all the field yourself, but covering that and that scheme that a team can has been working on their whole life, can be pretty difficult to defend. And I've seen that when Mackey came down and we beat him a couple times in 06. It was just difficult to cover that entire field, but good for Wendell to put a team on the field and still compete at that level. But the Grizzlies once again showing that they're going to dominate in this region here, and they want to they go back to that championship game that they were in not too many seasons ago.
Yeah, I still remember during the pandemic, COVID-19, the geniuses in Blaine County decided that you guys could only play teams that were also in the county. So Cary and Wood River ended up playing, and you guys took it to Wood River pretty good there, an 11-man team. So it's tough to go play 8-man football when you're used to the 11-man game.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Wallace Miners Athletics. I see your comment. I'm going to table it until we get to our 2A discussion. Because it's pretty funny, but I will get to it. I see it in the chat there. Let's wrap up our 2A talk with the Western Idaho Conference. Idaho City gets a nice 34-8 win over the Ramblers from Cascade. Jackson Rober, 54 yards and a touchdown through the air, 43 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Mitchell Davis, 94 yards and a touchdown rushing. Cooper Smith had 65 yards and a touchdown on the ground and an interception on defense. Isaac Manor, 7 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown, also had a receiving touchdown. Ryan Price had a sack, and Rocco Alvera, one of the great linemen in the state that doesn't get the attention he deserves. Will, he had a sack and an interception. It's a pretty good game for the defensive end.
Good balance on the D-line. Good balance there.
And how about all these running backs for Idaho City too?
They've got quite the array, and they're young. That's the thing that I like about them. It's a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors. They got their feet wet last year, and they did some good things last year, and that's part of the reason why I had my eye on them coming into the year. Is I'm going to go ahead and pat my own self on the back. They're off to a tremendous start. They've won some games here early to get it going. It's going to get tougher. But head coach Jason Rober and his staff, no question, he'll have them ready to go. And when you have more than 1 or 2 ponies at your disposal, when you can go 3 or 4 different directions, plan A isn't working, let's go to plan B. They've got an answer for plan B, let's go to plan C. Coach, you've been around this game a long time. A lot of teams don't necessarily have a plan C, and Idaho City looks like they do.
Yeah, certainly. And Coach Rober getting those guys ready, asking them to be men, be accountable, and take ownership there. And is this 2 wins in a row now for Idaho City? 2-game win streak?
2-1.
So some positive things rolling right there up in the mountains.
Yeah, Idaho City, head of the class in the Western Idaho Conference at 2-1. Nobody's played a conference game yet. Centennial Baptist still in second, 1-1. Paging Centennial Baptist, hello. They haven't played since September 4th, but they're getting back at it this week. So we'll see how they do there. And then Coach Rimrock off the schneid. They started the season 0-2 with a couple of, to me, pretty surprising results. But they pitch a shutout in a 44-0 win over Horseshoe Bend. Big plays all over the place. Justin Yetzer, 3 for 3, 95 yards and a touchdown. Also had 2 rushing touchdowns. And how about Carlos Herrera? He had 2 pick sixes, and his total interception yardage covered almost 200 yards. So these were long pick sixes for Carlos Herrera.
Yeah, I hope he got to sit out on special teams after that. That's it's got to be a reward for those guys that run 100 yards with the ball in their hand, thrown by the opposing quarterback, right?
That's right. So, Well, it's good to see Rimrock off the schneid here, for sure.
Yeah, that's a nice win for them. They did get off to a little bit of a rough start, replacing Ronaldo Gomez. We talked about him many times about what a transcendent player he was at the 8-man level, and sometimes it takes a couple of minutes for somebody to realize, oh, he's not here anymore. Now I've got to do it. And as we talked about earlier, they have a number of kids back who were contributors last year, but there's a big difference between being a guy who makes some plays from time to time and needing to be a dude. And as they find who their dudes are, and Carlos Herrera is a young man who's making a showing early and making his case that he can be a dude, they'll be heard from in the WIC.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we will talk 1A football, including what the Wallace Miners were up to last Friday night. Don't go anywhere. The Idaho 8-Man Prepcast is back right after this on IdahoSports.com. If I can only find the commercial. Okay, now we're back on IdahoSports.com.
Once again, we have contributed to your ideal college savings program. Love, Grandma and Grandpa.
Ideal. Eventually, they'll appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. I love it.
College costs money.
Welcome back to the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast, live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and Instagram account. Thanks for being with us live tonight. Brandon Baney with the coach, Lane Kirkland, and Will Henneke. The Idaho 8-Man Prepcast is brought to you by Ideal, Idaho's college savings program. And for the second year in a row, IdahoSports.com is partnering with Ideal to give one lucky student from a 2A or 1A school $529 to be used towards a 529 account. What's a 529 account? Well, it's a way to squirrel away some funds for that post-high school phase of your life. It can be used for a 2-year college, a 4-year college, a trade school, an apprenticeship. It can be used to pay off student loans. If you take those on, it can be used even in a IRA. It can get rolled over into that. A lot of ways you can use your 529 funds, and this is free money. All you got to do is register. So go to idsaves.org/IdahoSports. Here's the contest rules. I'll show you how easy it is. It's idsaves.org/IdahoSports. Takes you right to the contest page, and there it is. One lucky winner from a 1A or 2A public or private K through 12 school. The deadline to enter is October 24th. We will pick the winner the following week. It's a random draw, and the winner will be announced the following week on October 31st. Last year's winner was from Kamiah, Rylan Skinner, sophomore offensive and defensive lineman. Just happened to be a football player. That's the way it goes. But this could be any student. Don't have to be an athlete. Don't even have to be a football player. The only stipulation is you have to go to a 1A or 2A school. The contest rules are right there as well. And for those students, because most of the students that register are going to be under the age of 18, you have to have a parent or guardian assist you through this process. Those are the contest rules. But again, that's idsaves.org/IdahoSports. Really excited to partner with them again for this giveaway. So let's keep going with our 1A football rundown. The big game of the week, Coach Kirkland, was a game you were at. It was Hanson and Richfield. Hanson painted the Richfield rock green, and I guess it gets to stay green for another year. 34-20. The Huskies get the win. Hanson had 401 total yards of offense, 264 on the ground, 137 through the air. But, Coach, I think what was more impressive was that Hanson defense. They held Richfield to 166 total yards of offense and had 5 takeaways, 4 interceptions, and a fumble recovery.
Yeah, and another impressive thing was both sidelines had almost 3 teams each. Richfield 3 teams each. Richfield 29 on the roster, on the sideline, suited down, and Hanson eventually going to have 24 suited down. Those are huge numbers for those programs comparatively for the last 10 years, perhaps. And that was really fun to see. I was on the Hanson sideline for most of the game, taking some photos and watching there. But Hanson, great defense, bringing the heat, big kids, putting the pressure, and their coverage was incredible. Picking off Brookins at least 4 times. In the secondary there, they were not to be fooled with some of those passes. Only one got over their head for a long touchdown score, but they certainly were plugging up the holes, trying to contain the Tigers just a little bit. But I'm telling you, the greater story, honestly, from Hanson, besides that strong defense, was ball control. Fourth quarter, 10-minute drive, pretty much to finish out the game, and just held that thing. And the conversions and the play calling were really fabulous to watch there. Gibson catching some passes there. And fullback Carson Mulberry. Holy schneckes, this guy is a train. And there's 2 of those guys can run pretty dang hard, and they're big dudes. They're nothing to be messed around with. And, oh, by the way, Aiden Orozco on the sideline in jeans, probably wearing a uniform this next week, and he is fast. So they're going to add a few more weapons to that Hanson team with a lot of enthusiasm. Don't count those guys out because they got some pretty amazing things going on there, and they are working hard, and there was a lot of fans there for the Huskies.
Yeah, Carson Mulberry was a name I had not heard until you kind of reported back to us, Coach. And so I love it. A good old-fashioned hard-nosed fullback. There's probably some sort of pun with all around the mulberry bush, but I'm just too tired to think of it. So, Will, I will pivot instead and go to Richfield. Let's talk about what the Tigers were able to do, because they did put up 20 points, but really Brooks Kent, 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And then, as we said, 5 turnovers for the Richfield offense as well. Devin Scott had 79 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. Taysom Telford, a rushing touchdown. Jace Oliver continues to play really well, 14 tackles, 2 sacks. He's a guy that could be an all-state player if he continues this for Richfield. But really, in a game like this where the two teams are pretty evenly matched, you can't turn it over 5 times. And
the turnovers are killers. And then to what Coach was talking about a minute ago, and I will put the important caveat on this, is it's easier said than done. But when you're trying to play catch up in the fourth quarter, you've got to find a way to get that team off the field. You've got to force a turnover. You've got to make that stop, whatever it is. The clock is your enemy when you're behind, and you've got to find a way to get it done. So rather than come down on Richfield for that, a tip of the cap to Hanson, who's looking more and more legit by the week. And I'm not riding off Richfield after this. They played a good team, and they did not play. I'm sure they would tell you point blank, hey, we did not play well at all. And they were in it. So they've got a couple more chances to punch back and get back in this thing going forward. They've got some playmakers. They've got some talent. You mentioned Jace Oliver, Kent, Scott. You go down the line. There's some kids there that can play. They'll be all right. They'll learn from this, and they'll get better. And I guarantee you, one of the things the coaches is telling them, or the coaches are telling them this week, coaches is, my mom's an English teacher. We got to take care of the football. We cannot be given the ball away. We've got to take care of that football and finish our drives and put points on the board.
Yeah. Richfield, it doesn't get any easier this week. They got to go to Cary. Cary, Hanson, and Dietrich all start Sawtooth Conference playoff 1-0. Richfield, Castleford, Camas County all start 0-1. Shoshone yet to make their debut. So let's talk about the Cary Panthers. Coach, you always talk about Cary, so I'm going to let Will talk about Cary this week. Stockton Sears, 374 yards, 6 touchdowns rushing on the 13 carries. Will Park ran for 101 yards. Not often a guy runs for 374 yards and 6 touchdowns and is only number 2 on the list in your three-star awards, but after what Wyatt Mavencamp did, I guess Stockton Sears is relegated to the 2-hole.
Yeah, that's a damn good 2. That's like whoever is the runner-up in the AL MVP race coming up, whether it's Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh, whichever one doesn't get it, still had a hell of a year. You know what I mean? And Stockton Sears, I didn't realize. I knew the totals. I knew 374 and 6. I didn't know 13 carries. That is crazy. That is straight up insane.
Yeah, let me see here. Let me do with a quick calculator here. Get the yards per attempt.
Like 34 yards a carry?
29.
29?
Yeah, 20. Okay, Mr. Math Whiz. All right, Coach Kirkland.
I like my number better, by the way. It's a better narrative.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get your thoughts on Castleford, because this is a game you saw as well Friday. Reagan Keach had a passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns. Eric Lemus, good all-around game. And then how about this? An 8th grader, Ethan Dearden, 3 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown. So Castleford is maybe still a year away from really punching with the heavyweights in the Sawtooth, but I've been pretty impressed with the way they've been able to bring these young pups along.
Yeah, I'll make a few comments there, and then I got to figure out my battery situation here before I sign off. I don't know what's going on there, a little short going on. But, this is a younger Castleford team, a lot of them sophomores, but very talented. It was a tight matchup through the first quarter and a half or so until Carey started to pull away and deliver some final punches there in the second half. But there's some great potential in Castleford with the new coach and some enthusiasm there that I think they're not done yet.
Yep. Okay, well, while you figure out your battery situation,
Give me a second here.
Paul says you have to plug it in, Coach, but that's
I'll check the plug.
And
that's the kind of advice we look for from Paul.
Yeah, exactly. And a residual baseball comment here. Will, you and I are both big baseball fans. From Ryan Skaggs from our North Idaho Prepcast, big dumper for the MVP.
I hope so. I
don't know how you couldn't, now that he's 56 homers and Aaron Judge. He'll have plenty of opportunities later in his career to get another MVP award. So
the reason people won't vote for him is because he doesn't play for the Yankees. There's my baseball conspiracy comment for the night. Now we can move on.
Well, I cannot stand the Yankees as a Red Sox fan, and most Carey fans would say Dietrich's kind of like our Yankees. Dietrich, though, starts 1-0. They get a nice 42-14 win over Camas County. I did not have any other information from that game, but it is a nice start for Dietrich in conference play. They've taken it on the chin a couple of times this year, so they start off 1-0 there. And here's a residual Yankees suck comment as well from Ryan Skaggs. So
really, really happy for Dietrich to get that win. It has, you mentioned it's been a rough start on the football field, and then they lose AC Shaw, passed away recently as well, and just a legendary coach and a legendary family in the Dietrich area. So really, really happy for them that they were able to get that win for the community and for the school on Friday.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a couple of years for Dietrich with the passing of so many iconic coaches. Rick Estelle, who was the football coach and girls basketball coach for a long time, and then Wayne Dill, the longtime boys basketball coach, and then AC Shaw, who coached basketball at Dietrich for so long too. So yeah, Dietrich just as a community, has lost some iconic coaches just in the last couple of years. So certainly our thoughts and prayers are with the Dietrich community as they grieve the loss there. Let's go to the Long Pin Conference over in District 3. This was a fun game, Coach Kirkland. Garden Valley goes to Enterprise, Oregon. I didn't know much about Enterprise, but Garden Valley had a game on their hands. They end up pulling it off by 2, 44-42. A late night affair over there in Oregon, Pacific time zone. It was one of the last scores to come in Friday night on IdahoSports.com. They're playing multiple quarterbacks again. Tegan Goff, 4 of 6, 139 yards and a touchdown. Payson Kelly, 4 of 10, 113 yards and a touchdown. Had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. The run game wasn't really going much for Garden Valley, so they went to the air. We're not really used to seeing that from the Wolverines over the past couple of years, but this was a nice win for Garden Valley. And oh, by the way, the Wolverines are 3-0 and adjusting to life without Max Yearsley, who was lost with an injury the first game of the year.
Yeah, we've said it all along here that Garden Valley is going to be one of those top teams in District 3, and they're proving it here even in tight games. Recently there. I don't know where Enterprise is at or what kind of program they have, but I know Garden Valley is good. And it was a game that I think will help that squad grow up. And it's pretty cool to see that over the last few seasons, that Coach Yearsley has been able to honestly put into play multiple quarterbacks in these games and be successful with it. I think that's a pretty hard thing to do, but it says that everybody's a leader and we all can do it and we can contribute together. Some maybe pass better than others, but both of them had good passing yards and some stats there. So, hey, watch out for the double-headed sword there. And you never can rule out one of those quarterbacks as a running back getting a toss sweep play option pass to a wide receiver downfield. So don't go to sleep on that the rest of the year. The Wolverines doing well so far.
Here on the map is Enterprise right here in red. You can see it's surrounded by nothing but mountains and forests. There's one way in. It just ends with a dead end here in the middle of the forest. In terms of
a big pond there.
Yeah, in terms of Idaho, if you go straight across, it's kind of right by Riggins. So that's a fairly decent trip for Garden Valley. The closest city is LeGrand right here. Yeah, boy, that was a long trip for Garden Valley. So
I wonder if Coach was cooking pancakes again this year. Did they camp?
you're going to have to ask him. Yeah.
Remember that? I got to
Yeah.
touch base, see what's going on.
Yeah. This is how far of a trip is this? 4.5 hours. And so on the bus, you're looking at probably 5.5 hours. It's a long trip. So,
That's at least 10 pancakes per kid.
That's a lot of pancakes.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be a good episode title too. That's a lot of pancakes or meat mallet. I've got some good options here for a podcast title this week. So congrats to Garden Valley. Congrats to Tri-Valley. Will, 64-24 victory over Notice. 500 yards of total offense for the Titans. 498 of those on the ground. They did get 2 yards passing. And
I like the way they're diversifying their offense.
That's right. And 8 of their 10 drives ended with a touchdown. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a good squad, and they're going to have a chance to compete for a 1A state championship when it's all said and done. And head coach Tyler Wagner and his staff, I'm sure, looked at it as, we're going to have to be able to pound the ball on the ground and really take control of this game against a Notice team who's not too bad. They're just young and they're inexperienced, and it looks like they really did that. Is they put the ball in the hands of whether it was Jace Wagner or Gage George or whoever, and just said, hey, we're going to control the line of scrimmage, we're going to control the clock, and we're going to pound the ball and wear them down. And it looks like that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, Gage George, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jace Wagner from the QB spot, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Titans there. Notice Derek Huter, 296 yards and a passing touchdown, and DeHaven Wilson, 7 catches, 154 yards. Sawyer Nicoletti, 2 catches for 132 yards. That's like 60 yards. No, that's like 70 yards per catch. It's pretty good.
Ask the math guy over there.
Yeah, 70 something. Well,
yeah, exactly.
There's been some really cool stats this week. Some low, receptions and some low carries and big numbers on the other end. But that's 8-man ball, man. That's fun stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Fun times in Salmon River, Coach. I know you talked to Coach Ty Medley this week with the Savages. They beat Lewis County 40-12. Riley Davis, 120 yards, 4 touchdowns rushing. Blake Shepard, 140 yards and a touchdown passing to Gage Crump. Another kickoff return for a touchdown here for Lewis County. Jaden Williams took a kickoff back, 48 yards for a touchdown in the loss. But Salmon River, a good non-conference win over Lewis County, Coach.
Yeah, Coach Medley always gets back to me and appreciates the reach out for his program and for his kids, and it is a great win for those guys. They're still young, but they're growing up, and getting a W is going to build some momentum in that league, and give them an opportunity to challenge here. They got some tough roads ahead with the Tri-Valleys and the Councils and the Garden Valleys out there, but you get the wins when you can, and that one counted.
That's right. In the Long Pin Conference, nobody's played a conference game yet, but Garden Valley's 3-0 overall. Salmon River and Tri-Valley both 2-1. Cascade and Council are both 1-1. Okay, North Idaho. Here is Wallace Miners Athletics in the chat after a 66-12 victory over Clark Fork, and now looking ahead to St. John Endicott this week in a non-conference game. Will Henneke told us to put up 150 versus St. John Endicott. Don't blame us. We're just following orders. Any complaints can be sent directly to that Idaho 8-man.
Yep. That's it. Whenever you have a chance, whether it's SJE or Garpal, and if you live up in North Idaho, you know exactly who I'm talking about, or Tico Rosalia, anytime you get a chance to put it on those guys, you do it, and then you break the post-game huddle by saying Oakdale.
Okay. Another stipulation there for Coach Young and the Wallace Miners. Wallace, a 66-12 win over Clark Fork. Cooper Miller, 11 of 14 passing, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also had 2 rushing touchdowns. Henry Larson, 2 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown. Ashton Holbert, 5 carries for 80 yards and a score. The biggest big play guy, though, was Lennox Radford. This is this poppin' sophomore from Coeur d'Alene High who transferred in. Coach, 4 carries, 157 yards, 4 touchdowns. All 4 of his carries went the distance.
52.5 yards. Why not? Or 51.875.
Now you're just showing off, Coach.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Those are long runs. And once again, I hope he got to sit out the next play. But it's always fun to be able to take it to the house. And know you're going the distance when you get that handoff.
That's right.
That Wallace team, man, they've got some weapons. They're going to be tough to contain if they're healthy and if they're and if they're not schemed up. If you are not playing assignment football on defense, you're going to give up some big chunks to that group.
Yep, no doubt. Wallace Miners Athletics in the chat, Will, they say we would never, I think, do the Oak thing. They just want Will's ex to get
We would never do what?
I don't know. They'll have to be more elaborate. I think they're just trying to get you some more followers on social media.
Okay, well, I'm trust me, I'm good with that, but
they're probably talking about all the complaints can be sent to your ex account. So that's funny. I like that. That's fun. Okay. Also in North Idaho, over in the White Pine League, it was a Thursday night game last week. Timberline playing Pomeroy, Washington, a 22-16 game at halftime, and that's how it ends. Lightning cancels the second half of action. So Timberline, I thought, if you play out the second half, do they have a chance? Certainly, but they will take the 6-point loss. Wallace says we would never score 150, nor are we capable of that. So I think Kendrick
themselves short.
Oh man,
I think Kendrick set the high bar this year with, I think it was 98, wasn't it, against Oakley?
It was. Yep.
Yeah. So Timberline, Corbin Christopherson rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown to Taryn Hewitt. So Timberline will try to get back at it this week. Bummer that they couldn't play the second half of their game. And then the Rocky Mountain Conference guys, East Idaho, Chalice played the Butte County JV, and it was an 82-40 win for the Butte County JV. Coach Kirkland, you think Coach Sam Thorngren told those young bucks, hey, there are playing time opportunities at the big level if you go out and play well? I mean, that to me is a pretty motivated group of guys to say, hey, give us a shot at the varsity level.
Yeah, for sure. And if that's the only game that you have that week, you sometimes do some different things on the offensive side of the ball and who you're playing. But a good rebound for the Pirates, and it'll get them off to a good start this next week coming up. And it's always good to get reps for your JV. The more JV games you can play with your underclassmen, the better off you're going to be in the end. It helps them tremendously.
Yeah. Moving on to North Gem. This guy, just a freshman, he probably would be on the JV team, but North Gem doesn't have enough guys for a JV squad. Clay Johnson in a 36-14 victory over Showban, 12 carries, 154 yards, 3 touchdowns, also had a pick 6, also had a kickoff return for a touchdown. So, Will, he's marking all the slots on the bingo card.
Yeah, he did a really nice job, and they really didn't have to lean on Craig Yost very much, a guy who's going to take a lot of hits over the course of the season, and they were able to back off him a little bit and ride the freshman. And I heard from Coach Hatch a little bit about it, and he was really impressed with Showban. He said there was a lot of community support, a lot of community pride, and he's like they played their butts off, and he's like, we were just happy to get out of there with a win, to get it done and get that win after they had really struggled the week before.
Yep. A nice win for North Gem. And yeah, Showban's having fun playing the game. And that's all you can ask for a program that hasn't played since before COVID-19 was even a thing. So definitely love to see that. Okay. It is time, guys, for our Pick'em segment. Who is going to be the leader after this week? Spoiler alert, as we get the updated totals. Coach Kirkland still leading the pack here. Coach and I both went 14-6 last week. Will, you only went 12-8.
Yeah, I took a couple shots and they didn't work out for me.
So Coach is still the clubhouse leader, 55-18 for the season. I'm 2 games back. Will now 3 games back. It's getting late early for us, Henneke. Are we ever going to make up this deficit?
Oh, I'm going to. I can't speak for you, Brandon, but I'm going to.
Okay, we'll see. Let's go to this week's games. The Friday Night Flash on IdahoSports.com is where we will go to take a look at what's going on. Nothing on Thursday, so let's go to Friday. This is where most of the action is going to be at. And here we go with our 2A breakdown here. We have Cascade and Notice in a crossover game. Water Springs is going to play St. Joseph, Utah. Cary and Richfield. Oh, sorry. Whoops.
Here we go.
Yep. Okay. Cascade and Notice. Glens Ferry hosting Grace. Chalice is going to travel to Idaho City. Prairie at Kamiah. Clearwater Valley at Kendrick. Troy at Lakeside. Centennial Baptist is going to play Lighthouse Christian. They've got a JV squad this year, trying to build back, and eventually I think we'll see a varsity team on that turf. Court of Christ is taking on Logos. Raft River will play Murtaugh. Valley and Oakley. Lapway and Potlatch. Rockland at Rimrock. Kind of an interesting one. And then Salmon River at Wilder. Coach, you are the clubhouse leader. I will let you make the picks.
All right. Let's see if my eyes can help me here. Let's go with Notice.
Here, let me zoom in a little bit. How's
There we
that?
go. We'll go perfect there for
Okay.
my age. Let's go Notice, and then we'll pick Grace and Idaho City is on a roll. Let's pick those guys, and this will be a good game here. Prairie and Kamiah. I'm going to go with Prairie. Kendrick, Lakeside, Lighthouse Christian.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like it.
there we go. I gotta get ahead of Will some more.
Dude, you're ahead of me by like 75 games.
Feeling good. Yeah, Logos over
Trying to run up the score.
Yes. Let's just rub it in here, buddy. Then let's go with some Raft River, some Valley, some Potlatch, and Rockland, and Salmon River.
Okay. Will, what do you got?
Let's see. I will take Cascade to try and gain a game here. Grace, Idaho City, Kamiah to try and gain a game. Kendrick, Troy. So I'm either going to be completely out of this or I'm going to be like in first place by next week. One of the two.
Yeah.
Centennial Baptist. Man, that Logos Court of Christ game, that would be a lot of fun to watch because you have a fantastic defense against a really, really good offense in Court of Christ. I think I'll go Logos, but I will make the stipulation that's one that Court of Christ could win. They're a good team.
Yeah.
Okay. Raft River, Valley, Potlatch, Rockland. Not feeling super great about that pick, but I'll roll with it. And then I said it last week, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick with Wilder until they get me a win. Coach Duty, come on, get those boys, get them going, get a win. I'll tell you, they had to rebuild that thing from the studs, and it's nobody's fault. It's just where they were, and they'll get there. It might take them a little bit of time, but they're going to get there.
Yep. Okay, I will take. Ooh, the first game is tough. I will take Notice, Grace, Idaho City, Kamiah, Kendrick, Lakeside, Centennial Baptist, Logos, Raft River, Valley, Potlatch, Rockland, and Salmon River. Those are my picks there. 1A, we're going to have some of the same games pop up here on the crossover, so we'll just go game by game here. St. Joseph, Utah is going to play Water Springs. This game is going to be in Ogden, Utah. St. Joe's, a private school down there in Utah. What do you think, Coach?
Oh, man. Well, we've gone local all year, so let's go with Water Springs.
Okay. We Richfield at Cary.
Cary, homecoming.
Council is going to play Crane Union High School over in Oregon.
Council, the Lumberjacks. Going to chop some wood this week.
White Pine League opener here, Timberline and Deary.
Go with Deary.
Okay, Castleford at Dietrich.
I didn't get a chance to talk to Coach Estelle to see if Norman is playing or not.
Played last week. He
Did
got
he?
on the field last week. I don't know how much he played, but I know he played some.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Wolves. The Wolves are hungry after last week.
North Gem at Garden Valley. This is the game last year, I believe, where Garden Valley did the camp out. They went over and played North Gem in Bancroft and then camped out. So
yeah, let's do some Garden Valley. Wolverine action there. And Lakeside.
So we put these are all we did these ones already in the 2A. So
Okay.
yep, Shoban and Mackey, and our last two. Yep, Shoshone and Camas County, and then Wallace and St. John Endicott.
150-0, Wallace.
Yes.
Per
you
Will.
can do it. You can do it.
That's right. Okay, Will, what do you got?
Water Springs, Cary, Council, Deary. I'm going to take Dietrich with the home dub. Garden Valley, home field advantage. Mackey, Shoshone, and Wallace by 150.
Okay. I will take I'm trying to make up a game here. I'll take St. Joe's, Utah. I hate picking against my home. I got one last week because I picked Pomeroy over Timberline. When I saw that game got wiped out at halftime, I was like, all right, I'll take it. So I'll take St. Joe's. I'll take Cary. I'll go Council, Deary, Castleford, Garden Valley, Mackey, Shoshone, and Wallace by 150, I guess, since we all said that. So, all right, there's the picks. I'll update the totals, and we'll see if anybody can catch ground on Coach Kirkland next week here on the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast. Coach, you going to be at Cary's homecoming this Friday night?
I will. Yep. The bonfire is going on right now. It's the first one I've missed in 29 seasons, but I'm not missing this show.
Okay, we appreciate your commitment. Will, where are you going to be at this Friday?
That's a good question. We're was hoping to go to the Hanson Richfield game last week. Wound up at Glens Ferry Wilder. Hoping to do Idaho City Chalice this week. We'll have to see if the logistics work out, and if not, I'll have to see what my fallback position could be. See who's at home.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm going to be in Montana, guys. I have a Thursday night football game at the University of Montana between Sandpoint and Pocatello on IdahoSports.com. I'll be there broadcasting it. So I will just be kind of sitting back and monitoring everything on Friday night. Should be a lot of fun. So can't wait. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast presented by Ideal, Idaho's college savings program. For Coach Lane Kirkland and Will Henneke, I'm Brandon Bainey. We'll see you back here next Wednesday night to talk 8-man football once again on the Idaho 8-Man Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.